Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the McDonough County Special Recreation Association quarterly meeting of its Board of Commissioners. The first item on the agenda, as always, is approval of the agenda. May I hear a motion, please?
I move that we move. I still move.
Been moved to approve the agenda as published. Is there a second?
A second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? And the agenda stands approved as published. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of 7/18 of this year.
So
We
moved.
looked at them. Is there a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Been moved to approve. Is there a second, please?
I second.
I beat you to it.
Now, it's good to see that both of you are actually awake this meeting. It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as published. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes stand approved as published. And this brings us to what is always one of the best events of the year. The presentation of the Marjorie Connor Spirit Award. And I am going to go ahead and turn all of that over to Kayla so she can handle that.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming to partake in the presentation of the 2017 Marjorie Connor Award. Though I'm really relatively new to the organization, I've already felt the impact that Marjorie Connor impressed upon the community. Green jackets litter our benches, our dugouts, our sidelines at any given sport during each and every season. Our athletes are proud to wear the Connor name on their chest and to hold dear the honor that is being a Marjorie Connor Spirit Award winner. Recently, one of our athletes proudly held up his plaque for the whole town to see through the entire length of Western's homecoming parade. His arms were like shaking at the end, and he's like, "I've got to do it, though." So, seeing such admiration for the award shows how truly inspiring Marjorie Connor was as an athlete to our Special Olympics program here in McDonough County. Her legacy as a dedicated athlete with a winning attitude persists through the agency with each athlete that embodies that spirit. This year's award winner, Darren Powell. Darren is very perceptive to his teammates' attitudes. He is always the first person to comfort a hurt athlete or lend a hug to a fellow Olympian. More importantly, Darren is the first one of his peers to say the team did well even after a loss. Through participation in every sport season, Darren demonstrates true dedication. Darren is always willing to lend a helping hand to his coaches and make sure that everyone on the team is encouraged. He tries his best and gives his all at every practice and game. Without Darren's cheerful demeanor, our team would not be the same. I'm very proud to present this year's Marjorie Connor Spirit Award to Darren Powell for his good sportsmanship and dedication. And instead of me getting up and handing you the award, Mr. Connor is now going to give you your jacket and plaque.
Thank you, glad that you remembered now. Thank you, thank you. Anybody else have anything that they want to say? I really do think that this is always a very special occasion. We're proud as a park district to help support it. I know it's near and dear to our director's heart.
I will go ahead and say a few things if that's all right. I've known Darren for quite some time, and although he has been a pain in my rear for more occasions than one, the words...
All the more reason to like him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Somebody has to keep me in check. What Kayla has said is absolutely true, and Darren has always been a team player and somebody that we could count on to smile and cheer his teammates on, and even in situations where he felt frustrated, he was able to calm himself down and to be that team player for the rest of the team to look up to. So I personally am very excited to see that Darren got this award, so congratulations, sir. Yeah.
can pause here if people want to take pictures and all of that, and we can just wait until you are done, and then we will resume with the rest of the meeting. So take the time you need, because this is always, should be a happy occasion.
Yeah.
Sort of reconvene ourselves, and I can start with good news, because there is no president's report at this point, so you don't have to listen to me. Instead, we'll
Well,
turn it over to Kayla.
You have to listen to me again,
Yeah,
sorry.
well, that's just the way it goes.
Well, for those of you who don't know, my name is Kayla Morphy, and I'm pleased to be sitting as the director of the McDonough County Special Rec Association. Right now, we're in a period of rebirth, is what I'm deeming it. I'd like a sunrise. And I have initiated the period of restructuring, so we are looking at the roles that we have, our personnel that's filling them, making sure everything's the best fit so that we can use our resources more efficiently and effectively. I've also begun working on a 5-year plan with goals to increase the variety of our programming as well as our participant base. And that's the future part. Currently, fall programming is underway. 9 of our bowlers won first place in either their solo or team divisions, and that advances them to the sectional competition, which is going to be in Moline on November 5th. Our Special Olympics basketball season started this past Sunday, and we started with tryouts, and I'm using quotes here because we don't turn any eligible athletes away, but we have to assess them so that we can be placed in our appropriate competition bracket. So they go through a series of drills to just assess our level of competition so we can be placed appropriately for the district tournament, and that'll happen in January. With the programming side, Sadie and I have been traveling to Bickford every other Monday. We provide them activities, and we alternate between like a crafting activity and like an exercise. The participants seem to really like it. We made Halloween jars this past Monday, and there were 10 of them, and that's our largest group yet. So I hope to expand that program and try and reach out to other agencies in the area to broaden our scope there. And we have cooking class on Thursdays, and we've been filling those to capacity, so I'm pretty excited about that. Looking forward to Crafternoon, which is our afternoon of crafting. That's going to come up, and then we're going to be doing ladies and guys nights out respectively, and a hot chocolate party at the end of the year, which I'm pretty excited about. We're going to do it December 20th, and it's going to be free to our participants, and kind of a way to wrap up the year without stepping on any holidays. And that's about all that's going on right now.
All that's going on.
Oh, okay. I've been told to explain what Bickford is. And Bickford is an assisted living facility with older adults, and the majority of them have either like dementia or Alzheimer's and some sort of memory loss. And so we work with their individuals and provide them just with activities and work to help brighten their day a little bit.
But I'm actually glad you did explain that. I was vaguely aware of it, what it is, but I think what that points out is the very broad age range that the SRA's programming and staff have to deal with. And that's a challenge. Anybody that knows anything about the field knows that working with that broad a range of people on a regular basis is a challenge. So good.
To speak to that, our currently enrolled for bowling or about bowling, basketball. We have from ages 11 to 70. So we all on our basketball, we
Wow.
have 2 teams, but, so we do work with a very wide
Yeah.
variety.
Which I think is important for people in the community to know, that this isn't just, they hear things like Special Olympics, they tend to think younger or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's not. So that's good. Do you have any more, or are we open for questions? Anybody have?
Good question.
I was just curious on if you can give us a little sneak peek on some of your ideas for your 5-year plan.
Oh, yeah. So, the Bickford portion, I want to expand that program. I attempted to start, when I was working as a program manager and not the director, I attempted to start programs like that for Mosaic at their hubs, to day programming. And that was going okay, but there was some red tape we had a hard time cutting through, and then I had to leave. So it kind of, the red tape didn't get all the way cut through, and it kind of fizzled out. So I want to expand that and create almost like a contracting out type of service for the special rec to do for agencies like Mosaic and Bickford, so that we can come out and do programming for them. And that would be a good way for us to bring money in that's separate from the things we offer. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm working on adding that and expanding that. I've also been working with some agencies in Chicago where I did my internship, and working to bring some of those programs here. So just expanding our general program wheelhouse. And I also wanted to reevaluate our Special Olympics program. October 26th, the 3 of us will be going to a coaches meeting, and they've restructured Special Olympics in Illinois, and we will be updated on what that restructuring looks like. But that expands our, instead of areas, we'll have regions. That'll expand our reach as to who we are going to be competing against. And so I want to capitalize that and kind of revitalize the Special Olympics program by promising farther travel and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent.
And I just started it, so I promise I'll wow you in January.
All right. Very good, thank you.
Don't make that kind of promise to this board if you don't mean it.
I mean it.
I thought
mean
you
it.
may
I'm
be lying.
excited.
Annually.
There's
Good.
some other surprises I've got up my sleeve, John. You'll be fine.
Yeah, every time I go into that building, there are surprises.
That is true. You're welcome. It's true.
So, do we have any other questions? I'm very glad that the Park District remains involved in this, because it's been essential. It's just basic. So, thank you. If there are no further questions, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Been moved? It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Opposed? Then the McDonough County SRA meeting stands adjourned, and we will at this point swing directly over into the Park District Board of Commissioners as soon as we do the director shuffle.
Go. I'll stay.
You want to stay?
All right, we will now start with the Macomb Park District Board of Commissioners business meeting for October. And that will bring us to, once again, the approval of an agenda. So is there a motion to approve the agenda as published?
I'd like to move that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as published. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda stands approved as published. Consideration of an action on the minutes from the meeting of September. Are there any corrections? Additions? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the September meeting as published.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded that the minutes from the September meeting be approved as published. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Then the minutes stand approved as published. The bills and transfers with monthly financial statements, Commissioner Ham, please.
In summary, we're doing, according to budget, pretty much online. For the consolidated fund for the month, payroll and the new equipment were a little bit over the budget. There was, again, good weather for most of that part, and that contributed to a lot of the usage of park personnel. Also, the park improvements factor into that, why we're running a little over budget, around $91,894 ahead of what the budget, more than what the budget had factored in. Again, Veterans Park is still, we're still making payments on that, so the improvements are being done there. So the consolidated fund, that's pretty much what is moving forward. The general fund, basically for year-to-date overall, it's setting better than budget, around $55,429. Nothing that was major out of line there. I do want to go back. I know we're going to vote on the general obligation limited park bonds. The one for 2016, from what I understand from Chris, is going to be paid off this week. So that's going to be taken care of, and we can move forward then accordingly to the 2017 bond sales, which, again, I think we're going to discuss later in the agenda. As far as the other areas, Lakeview, Recreation, Ball 4, everything is pretty much close to budget, Ball 4. However, you know, there's still lower than expected revenues that were generated there. It was just a slow season, I think. I won't have much comment on the pool because there wasn't really much activity there for the month of September. Other than that, does anyone have any questions? I don't have anything further to report at this time.
Thank you. That was useful. Any questions? Then hearing no questions, this will call for a motion to approve the monthly financial statements, bills, and transfers.
I move that I never say it correctly, so that's why I've been staying quiet. I move that we
Approve
yes.
All right.
Bills and,
transfers and monthly
Thank
financial
you.
statements. It's right there on the agenda.
yes, thank you. This is what, third month?
That's why you're sending at the end.
That's right.
All right, moving right along and hoping for a
Yes.
quick second.
I second.
Thank you very much. It has been moved and seconded to approve the bills and transfers monthly financial statements
Yeah.
as published. This is a money matter, and a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hemingway,
Aye.
Commissioner Pettigrew,
Aye.
Commissioner Ham,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss.
Yes.
Thank you. That approves the bills and transfers monthly financial statements as published. We have no one signed up for an open public presentation, which brings us to the president's report. And that is simply going to be to ask those of you that have your visioning statements, if you would just turn in your homework, please. And we have a couple of folks who need to still type theirs up, which is okay. Just drop that off down at 1406 as soon as you can, so that the director and I can begin to go to work on this stuff. I have nothing more that's any kind of spectacular to report, other than to sort of encroach on the director's report a little bit. I was overhearing some comments by Commissioner Ham about the new installation out at Veterans Park with the outdoor exercise area. And I just want to say that I've heard a number of comments around town, a little bit more than I would have expected, saying it was kind of an unusual thing. It wasn't the kind of thing that people were expecting to kind of see, but they kind of like it. We'll see how that goes. So unless anybody has any questions for me, we will pass along to the director's report.
Okay. Couple of topics today, not as long as a typical report, so we'll keep moving because we've got plenty to talk about today. You each received a cinch bag from me. I've talked a couple of times about the design that we've started using for our new marketing scheme, just a new design. You know, you'll see Nike or other branding companies change up their logo every once in a while, but still keep the same concept. So this is what we've done. We worked with Tim Rice to kind of make this logo a reality, and he's done a great job on that. So if you see that running around, yes, that is our logo, and that's just a representation of all the different things you can participate in with Macomb Park District. So we're very excited to have that be our new marketing scheme for this year anyway. Speaking of marketing, a staff of ours who you would have seen running around a lot during our events during the summer, Alex, she is a part of a marketing club at Western. Their club is participates in a fundraising opportunity that they raise funds for a cause that they think is worthy. So thanks to Alex, I would assume. We were chosen for that cause, and we had been talking about a new fundraising scheme for us to help raise funding for the lighting out at Veterans Park to move that second phase to its final destination. They are kicking that off for us with a bags tournament. We are going to start a new scheme called Push for Parks, and that will be what you see when we start trying to raise funds for different projects in the park. So this will be Push for Parks, Veterans Park lighting. So if you see that around, that is how we are going to try to start initiating that final 0.5 stage of Veterans Park. So anyway, we're very thankful to them. If you guys see the bags tournament, participate. It does go towards the Veterans Park lighting. Last time I mentioned that I was a part of a new program initiative in town, CEO. It was asked that I bring a little bit of material, so you each have now a handout about the CEO program and just the process of what it takes to get it started here in town. We are in the beginning stages, so we're at the top of the list currently, but we have until the fall of 19 to reach that final step and start really engaging students into the process of getting enrolled. So you'll see more. There's a Facebook page now, and there we'll keep the public up to date on where we are at in the McDonough County CEO program and when we'll start talking to students. So that's very exciting. We are working on a new shelter policy for 2018. We have had some instances where we've had people take advantage of our honor system, and they'll maybe mention that they have 10 to 15 individuals attending, at which point we don't charge a safety deposit, and then 300 show up. So after 100 people, we do require a $100 safety deposit. If the facility looks nice, we return that deposit. If it's not, then depending on the amount of work, we'll subtract respectively. So on certain occasions here in Macomb, we are going to require a safety deposit no matter how many people you intend to bring. If you reserve a shelter for Heritage Days, for Flatland, for Homecoming, for I had a list. Anyway, there will be a list. We will have specified dates on the policy so that people are aware. If you intend to rent a shelter on these dates, we will charge a safety deposit. If there are 0 issues, which we imagine will be the case, we will return that $100 deposit. So no harm, no foul. Okay. We had a Festival of Life in the beginning of October. We had some weather issues, but they persevered very true to the theme of the event. So they found it to be a very powerful event and fairly successful. Kayla was our staff in that, and she's been on that committee since before she was as a staff on our team. So, sorry, I threw it. So anyway, I heard it went well. In other news, at the end of September, we were featured in the iParks newsletter. They reached out to us and just asked us, what was inspiring all the change that they have seen in our district. And I told them about the new directions that we are taking and the visioning process that we're undergoing. So they were very excited to hear about our events that we've done and the numbers that we're seeing and just the process of how we are kind of livening up our park district. So they send their accolades to the board and congratulate you guys on your direction that you are assisting in moving the district. Veterans Park, I haven't given an update on the fields in a while. So the boys' baseball fields, we have prepped for the spring. So I know that the maintenance team was out there today aerating the fields. We're going to get fertilizer for both the girls and the boys' diamonds so that they can be on the same schedule for prep. But the home bases, I believe, have been installed. If not, they're ordered and present with us. So those will be all prepped and ready to go. So when spring comes, the maintenance team, all they have to do is a few rakings and a little bit of prep and dolomite. So otherwise, we should be good to go for the early season that we predict will happen with Little League. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and go to the slide, we have a new event coming that you each have a flyer for. I've mentioned it before. I wanted to give you guys a visual. Zombie Apocalypse Macomb is coming next weekend. We decided to do a theme weekend, something different in Macomb. Some people thought a little risky, but we've really received accolades for it. Everybody seems excited about it. I will tell you that I fought it quite readily because I don't like scary, which is why we watch Pixar movies so often at our movies in the parks. So, but the staff, yet again, have proven me wrong. So we have 3 days full of exciting opportunities. We have a costume contest on Friday, followed by a double feature movie. It will mimic the movies in the park that they have seen. First Bankers Trust is going to come and provide free popcorn. Hy-Vee will provide food. And it'll just be a great time. We're watching Hocus Pocus and Beetlejuice back to back. So 2 classic Halloween movies. Saturday, we're going to do a 5K run starting out at Hornfield campus. We ask that people park in Chandler because that will be where the 5K race ends, and we will not be shuttling people back to Hornfield to get their cars if they park there. So park at Chandler. We will shuttle you to Hornfield campus. You can go, thanks to the College of Fine Arts and Communications. They will be providing theater-like makeup, and you can be zombified, or we will have volunteers who will be zombified, and you can choose to be chased by zombies if that is what inspires you to run. So there will be all sorts of fun and excitement happening on that day. Proceeds from the 5K goes to McDonough County Vibe. They do a lot of great work here in McDonough County, so we're happy to support that effort. And then following the 5K, there will be a afterlife party in Chandler Park. It's just a music kind of event. Jaron the Absolutes, who have played with us in the past at one of our Randolph Street rendezvous, will be coming back. We'll have kids' activities. We're going to have a straw bale maze. We're going to have food and drink. We'll have bag sets that light up. We'll have all sorts of fun out there. So, and even if you do not participate in the 5K run, we invite the public to come out and join and just enjoy the zombie atmosphere. Same, Valencia, same. And then another thing that John kind of mentioned, our fitness equipment has been installed out at Veterans Park. You'll see a picture of it here on the screen. Our maintenance team did a fantastic job getting this installed for us. As they were installing it, we're using it. Many of our staff have already been out and tried it out. I received an official a report from our superintendent of support services over there, who said that the equipment worked well. So For those of you who have gone and seen it, thank you, and thank you for the positive feedback. We've already gotten a lot of mentions, and we haven't even announced that it's put up yet. I mean, it's out there so they can see it, but yeah, very excited to have that out there and for the positive response thus far. And then finally, you will see, yeah, you will start to see, if you want to go over to John, he'll show the sign. You'll see these signs out at Veterans Park. We have invested in what is called a QR Fit Trail. This is a interactive trail where people can go with their phones and they can scan the QR code there, and what pops up on your phone, which will be the next slide, is a video. And if you want to go ahead and click that while I'm talking, you can go ahead. Maybe. There it is.
Hi, and welcome to the QR Fit Trail. My name is Jay Levesque, and I'm honored to be your personal trainer today. Now, along this trail, you'll find videos that work on your upper body, your lower body, your core, and flexibility. Now, the repetitions and sets are all recommendations. If you're a beginner, you may want to start with 1 set. If you're more advanced, you may want to go all the way up to 3 sets of each exercise. But before we start up, I want to make sure you guys are nice and loose, nice and
that's
limber.
So all of these signs, there's 6 stations. They have 4 different QR codes depending on your desire to work whatever piece of your body you want. You use your own, I mean, you are your piece of equipment, and you utilize the trail. The best part about this software is it's done remotely. It's very inexpensive to us to do. It's $200 annually for this product, which is extremely inexpensive. I told the guy that I talked to that they were cheating themselves, but please don't charge me more money. But they rotate the videos monthly so that people who utilize this trail don't get bored of the fitness, and it continues to rotate. And so we have access to over 150 videos on an annual basis. So I'm excited to bring this to Veterans Park and really start to see it become more than just a sports complex, but really an interactive opportunity for Macomb and for the demographic who may be not able to afford a gym membership. So, yeah, I've been told that I've stepped on at least one commissioner's vision statement. I apologize for that, but I'm glad that at least that we're all kind of moving in the same direction in some areas. So, yeah, but that is what I have. Questions? Comments?
Did you already say how many of the signs you're going to be putting up? I'm sorry.
6. No, that's okay.
6.
And they're all at Veterans Park.
We're going to install them tomorrow.
They'll all be at Veterans Park, right?
We're going to do it, it'll be on the smaller south side of the facility around the tree line, right next to Friendship Trail, so that it's kind of compact, but not too compact. So we'll use that smaller trail by the adult soccer fields.
Rachel, did I understand you correctly that the QR is activated by the phone and it's at each of the 6 stations that you can watch the personal trainer give you? Okay, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and when they did their presentation, they went through what different cell phone providers, how well the service is in our area, and the number of individuals who have cell phones in our area, and if it would really be worth our investment, because we are aware that not everybody has a cell phone, but they did go through percentages of how many people in Macomb have cell phones and what age demographics. So they were very thorough in their research, which was I was impressed with. So.
Very nice. And it's nice that those the stations can be used by high school, junior high.
Yeah, yeah. And I did ask them as well, because I know this is something that we're all advocates for. There are exercises that are accessible,
Good.
and they are going to be adding a specific section for exercises for individuals who are in wheelchairs. And I said, will you guys send us updated signs when that becomes a reality? And they said, yeah, all they'll charge us is the cost of the sign. So,
Thank
Fantastic.
you. Took my next question, thank you.
Mhm. Do you happen to have a number yet on folks that have signed up for the 5K at this point?
As of yesterday, we had 8 pre-registrations.
Okay.
So I know that doesn't sound like much, and I've had to work alongside our colleagues at the other agencies, but that's pretty decent for pre-registrations in Macomb. We anticipate a lot of people just showing up and shuttling out to Hornfield. So when the option is provided, a lot of times people in this community choose to just show up.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how is this event being advertised? Looks like a very comprehensive experience.
It is, it is. We've put up flyers around the community. We have done flyers in the backpacks of kids at school. Because we're partnering with Hornfield campus, we have been allowed to do a press release. Well, Hornfield has been allowed to do a press release at Western.
Which went out today.
Did it? Excellent. We have a pretty decent Facebook presence for our first year. I will be doing a morning show Friday morning with regional media. And we have been putting out, well, we've done one ad in the McDonough County Voice. Hy-Vee has done multiple ads. They've attached it to the back of their community sales listing. I don't know what it's actually called, but their ad. So they've put it out, I think, the last 3 weeks. And I've been doing class presentations, and I've included this specifically during my class presentations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good questions.
Is there anything else from the director?
Are you still needing volunteers?
We will always take volunteers. Yes. I don't know if we need any more to dress like zombies and chase people. That was not hard for us to fill, surprisingly.
No, it's not surprising at all, actually.
But volunteers for setup and tear down, absolutely, we'll always take volunteers for that.
Other questions or comments? You made an observation that through the fitness, I'm going to call it platform.
Yeah.
That the Veterans Park is taking another step away from just being athletics. And I think that's an interesting notion, that it becomes a more comprehensive kind of part of the facility. Obviously, athletic fields are central out there, but it's a big property. It's sort of interesting to see what more we can do with it so that it gets more regular use through the day. Thank you, Director Lance. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We come now to item number 9 on the agenda.
8.
8? Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to overlook that. That was just a cheap shot I was taking. Number 8. We have a new position that has been put together by the director, the superintendent of support services, and the current superintendent is Neil Armstrong, and we have asked him to come in and talk to you about what exactly this is going to involve. And I think it's another good step towards a genuinely maturing park district. Please.
Good evening. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm Neil Armstrong, and with this position, one of the things I started sitting down and talking with Rachel about was the formalization of our safety committee. We've had a safety committee, but at this point, we're putting things together properly, how many we have on our committee, how many it takes to have a quorum. We're going to meet quarterly at a minimum and as needed to review any safety issues, concerns, and the actions that are going to go with those. Also, we're updating and implementing our new risk management manual. So just taking the steps to get that all online. So it's going to be a nice long winter typing and studying and research. So that's good. One of the things that we started this summer when I was just in the position of the safety security position was We were doing some standard safety, risk, and health and online training. This summer, we got online with our slips, trips, and falls, and iParks let us know that we were, for June, the #1 user in the state of the iPark training program. So it was nice with recognition. I never would have thought a district of our size in the state of Illinois would be the #1 consumer on that site, but kudos to our staff for taking care of their responsibilities and becoming trained on that. And there will be more trainings coming along throughout the following years. With position 2, I see a proactive approach to mitigating our safety and security risks for our park district employees and our customers. This will include periodic inspections and reviews of buildings, equipment, and park areas. So that is, right now, that's the focus, is really getting our safety and security risks mitigated. All right, any questions?
All of that can be unpacked into a fairly large amount of activity. It's a pretty quick summary. You mentioned training, ongoing training. I think it might help if we said training for whom?
For our staff members.
For staff members?
Yes,
Right.
yes, some of the things we're looking at, bloodborne pathogen, workplace violence. Last summer, we did ALICE training, active shooter training with the Macomb Police Department, so brought MPD in and did active shooter scenarios. Unfortunately, it's a realism in this world, so we have taken steps for training on that, so, yes.
So essentially what we're looking at is the creation of a sort of a consolidated of what were sort of some fragmented efforts and now moving forward.
Sounds like you're centralizing those responsibilities of the security issues, plus the safety of the buildings, make sure community
Yes.
consumers, as you referred to them.
Yes.
Customers, people that use the parks, will minimize the chance of having these accidents that so many other communities have gone through.
Absolutely.
That would be your priority.
Absolutely,
You would bring
yes.
reporting, what's your reporting mechanisms that you've considered setting up?
Well, we are, through iParks, have in Illinois OSHA, we have that's our reporting. So that's, tomorrow I start a 30-hour OSHA course.
Okay.
So we have, I believe it's December 1st, you have to have online with Illinois OSHA any of the accidents or incidents over the last year. That'll be it. And then we do have accident reports, vehicle, personal injury, and timelines set up, how we've got to report those.
And you have historical data also that was priorly used. So now you can compare how it progresses with what you implement.
It's a little rough, but there is some.
Okay.
I have found some, just trying to put those, what I've got and what I've got working on now and taking from other districts around the state, and just some ideas from there is how this is all going to come up to speed.
I will say that this is a position that kind of evolved itself, although I'd love to take credit for it. It presented itself as a need, especially with the OSHA requirements that were put in front of us as a district with all the different areas that we have to cover. It's not just a construction company. We are maintenance, we are events, we are facilities, we are personnel. There's a lot of different areas that we now are under requirement to have paperwork on, and that is a daunting task because Neil has to create all the paperwork. And when he says there is documentation, I think it's written in DOS type. It's quite dated.
The one I found was written, or was printed on dot matrix.
There you go, dot matrix. Yeah. So although he has something to go off of, it's not entirely relevant.
Now, we're working on updating the language to fit the needs of today. Yeah.
Could I ask that, together with the director, as you put this material together, we decide on an appropriate board meeting month at which there could be an annual presentation to the board. We know the reporting requirements to OSHA, to IPARCS, but I think it would be very enlightening to the board members as well as to the community
Oh, I'd welcome that, absolutely.
to hear what goes on out there and what we encounter. So we'll pick a month and, sometime late in the year, so that you'll have a whole year before you have to come back and do this again. Yeah. But I just, in talking to Neil and talking to Rachel, actually, and talking to the Macomb Park District, Macomb Police Department, it's fascinating, sort of, what actually happens out there, as well as the structural and all that kind of stuff. So when this was presented to me, I thought it was a great idea to make the move with the position. So, good. Are there other questions for Neil?
Congratulations. on-
Thank you very much.
This is great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Neil. Appreciate it. Looking forward to see what happens.
Me too.
Yeah.
I am dismissed.
Dismissed. Staff Sergeant Armstrong, retired. Now we get to number 9, which is the ordinance for our annual, if any of you wonder, our annual operating bond for, we sell this year, it pays for next year. And under the law, I have to read this pretty precisely. We said the ordinance number was 321? So ordinance 321 is an ordinance providing for the issue of a $605,000 general obligation limited park bonds, Series 2017 of the Macomb Park District, McDonough County, Illinois, for the payment of land for parks for the building, maintaining, improving, and protection of the same, and the existing land and facilities of said park district for the payment of certain outstanding obligations of said park district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof. All that having been read into the record, I can give you some additional information. We have sold the bonds, or the bonds look like they're going to get $612,000. It looks like the interest rate, hold on to your hats on this because this is good news. The interest rate on these is going to be about 1.2%. So we are going to be able to maximize the yield on this. And our maximum would have been $615,000, and so getting the low interest rate boost our sales very close to what our maximum yield could have been, but at a price that is most congenial. That's what we hear from our bond people at this point. So there's some good news here. However, before we have a party, I need a motion to approve the ordinance, followed by a second.
Motion to approve.
But moved to approve, is there a second?
I can second.
All right, so this would be a motion to approve, seconded, ordinance number 321 with the language that I read earlier. Are there any questions? And hearing none, we will take a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Pettigrew,
Aye.
Commissioner Ham,
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss,
Yes.
Commissioner Hemingway.
Aye. So ordinance 321 on the general obligation bonds stands approved, and we can be open for business next year. Now, the bad news on this, Commissioner Ham, is that in the role as treasurer, you and I are going to be sitting here for a while after we adjourn, because this stuff needs to be signed. All right, then, item number 10 is a discussion and possible action on authorization of financial support for commissioners to attend the annual Illinois Associated Park District, Illinois Park and Recreation Association State Conference. We had been doing this for quite a long time, supporting as many as 2 commissioners. Shortly after I became president, as money began to get a little bit tight and feeling that the park districts probably ought to emphasize getting staff the training they needed rather than sending commissioners, with former Director Peterson and currently Director Lentz, I had suggested that we hold off and just sort of not fund commissioner travel. I've been attending, because I'm on the IAPD board, but I've been attending on my own dime. We had a conversation, and we thought it might be time where we would restart and offer the opportunity to attend the IAPD, IPRA meetings, which occur in mid to late January in Chicago. They are outstanding state meetings. They're some of the best I've been to. I've attended state meetings in about 7+ states, and this is good stuff. So what I originally had discussed with Director Lentz was simply writing something up and saying we were going to start sending and make it available, and do so on a seniority basis. We need to rotate this. And I still want to proceed with that so that Commissioner Pettigrew, you would be, I'm going to be there anyway. You would be the next person in seniority, so you can consider whether you want to do that. We don't need an answer today. But as we were doing that, I had written up kind of a simple little ordinance, or I should say resolution, and then I double-checked the state website. And it told me that there have been some changes in the law. So now, folks, from that little scratch there, here is your 5-page typewritten resolution. And I will ask you to look this over and be prepared to act at the November meeting. Because the state now requires us to have a number of steps in here. We have to have specified purposes for travel. We have to have a specified scale of reimbursements. We have to have a way of approving applications for travel that might be reimbursed. And then we also have to have a way of collecting the information on travel expenditures. Those travel expenditures must now be approved by the board in open session. And so it just kind of ballooned, and I began regretting even thinking about it. The form that you have in front of you is a form that we had been using We're also required to have a form, so attach this to the draft resolution. And if, Commissioner A goes up to the conference, then this form has to accompany submission of receipts, et cetera. Okay? And with this policy, we were borderline in compliance, but this will now put us fully in compliance, and that's all I'm going to say about that, lest I lapse into. So we will place this on the agenda for November as an action item. If you have any editorial suggestions, criticisms, additions, in the meantime, let me know, and I'll feed them in. So the language may change in terms of editorial revisions, the substance will not. I mean this. So if you don't have any questions on that, and I can find my, there it is. We have one additional item. We are, as you know, a member of the Illinois Association of Park Districts. At the annual business meeting, they also have their annual association, at the annual conference, they have their annual business meeting. We must take board action to name a delegate who has voting authority at that business meeting. And it cannot be me, because I'm a member of the board of trustees. So I would be voting on something I'd already voted on, if that makes sense. We can set it up where we have a first alternate, a second alternate, and a third alternate. This is starting to remind me of a scene in the movie The Sting. And we can list each of you in seniority order, and then if somebody goes up, they can just step in that way. At least that's how I believe we can do it, and if not, I'll hold my breath and cry and yell at Peter Murphy, who's the president of IHPD. Yeah. So, with your permission, why don't we just do it by consent? We'll just list in order of seniority, and if somebody goes up, you can sit on it, sit in on it.
It's a safe way of doing it.
Yeah, I
because we
think that-
don't know in the future.
I understand, and their deadlines for this fall early. So if that's okay with everybody, then we have open commissioner presentation and discussion of future agenda items. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? Well, then we all know what comes after that. We'll
I'd
see.
like to make a motion to adjourn
Okay,
the meeting.
all right.
I
We
second
need a
that.
second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, I dare you. We stand adjourned, and thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.